The secret that started with a back massage, every desire of his took a new turn, first from the front, then from behind, then from above. I never thought my quiet life would tilt into something dangerous, something intoxicating, all because of one moment that should have been ordinary. But Dom Knox was not an ordinary man, and nothing about what grew between us could ever be called safe. My name is Clara, and until that night, I lived like a woman on pause. I went to work, I came home, I scrolled through channels without watching, and I told myself that routine was enough. Then Dom arrived, and suddenly my house wasn't just four walls. It became the place where every unspoken desire I had buried decided to claw its way back to the surface. He came because he needed a place to stay, just for a little while. A friend of my family had called me, asking if I could offer him a couch until he settled into his own apartment. I said yes before thinking much about it. I imagined a quiet guest, polite enough, who would keep to himself. But when Dom showed up at my door, shaking rain off his jacket, introducing himself with that calm, steady voice, I felt something stir in me that I couldn't quite name. He had the kind of presence that didn't need to try, broad shoulders, old-fashioned manners, eyes that seemed to see too much. His very name, Dom Knox, sounded like it had been lifted from an old novel, something both dangerous and magnetic. The first week was simple enough. We shared dinners, traded small talk, passed each other in the hallway. But tension lived in the quiet spaces. Every glance lasted a beat too long, every brush of his hand felt deliberate even when it wasn't, and I began to realize the air between us was heavier than it should have been. I caught myself staring when he wasn't looking, memorizing the way he leaned against the counter, the way his shirt stretched across his chest. And sometimes when I thought he didn't notice, I saw his eyes on me too, quick, burning, gone before I could prove it. The night everything shifted. It was raining hard, the kind of storm that presses against the house and makes you feel like the world has shrunk to just you and whoever is inside with you. I came home late, tired, my back aching from hours at my desk. Dom was in the living room, legs stretched out on the couch, flipping through a book he'd pulled from my shelf. He looked up when I walked in, and his smile was easy but sharp, the kind that sees more than it lets on. "Long day?" he asked. "You could say that," I muttered, dropping my bag onto a chair. "My back feels like it's staging a protest." He closed the book, sat forward, and tilted his head in that way he had that made me feel studied. "Want me to help with that?" The words hung in the air, too casual, too bold. I should have laughed it off, told him I'd be fine. Instead, maybe because of the storm, maybe because of the loneliness that had settled too deep in me, I found myself saying yes. I sat in the chair in front of him, my breath caught in my throat even before he touched me. When his hands settled on my shoulders, the warmth of them spread through me like fire. He pressed his thumbs into the knots at the base of my neck, slow, steady, deliberate. My body betrayed me. I sighed, leaning into him, my skin tingling under every movement. "You're tense," he murmured, his voice low, close to my ear. "It's been a long week," I whispered back, my voice thinner than I wanted. He leaned closer, his breath grazing my skin. "Then let me take care of you." It should have been nothing, just a massage, a friendly gesture. But every press of his hands carried more than comfort. His fingers moved down my back, tracing the line of my spine, and each touch sparked something deeper, something hungrier. When he slid lower, just above my waist, he hesitated as if waiting for me to stop him. I didn't. Instead, I tilted forward slightly, giving him permission without words. That was when everything changed. His hands shifted, first curling around my sides from the front, palms pressing in with a possessiveness he tried to disguise. Then sliding from behind, his chest so close I could feel the heat radiating from him. And then from above, when I tilted my head back and caught his eyes in the rain-streaked reflection of the window, his gaze locked with mine, dark with restraint and desire. "Clara," he whispered, my name breaking from him like a secret he wasn't meant to tell. "Dom," I breathed back, my voice trembling. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of the storm, the pounding of my heart, the pull of something neither of us dared name. And then, just as quickly, he pulled back. He stood, running a hand through his hair, pacing like a man on the edge of something dangerous. "I shouldn't," he muttered. My chest ached, my body still humming with the ghost of his touch. "Don't stop," I whispered, surprising even myself. The look he gave me then, fire tangled with fear, burned into me. He didn't come back to me that night, but I knew the line had already been crossed. The secret had begun. I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, feeling his hands on me over and over, hearing his voice in my head, the way he had said my name like it meant something more. I told myself in the morning it would fade, that he'd keep his distance, that I would too. But when I saw him at the table, his eyes caught mine, and I knew there was no going back. The days that followed were a slow unraveling. Little things became unbearable, his hand brushing mine when he passed me the sugar, the way his gaze lingered when he thought I wasn't looking, the silence that grew thick whenever we were alone. Each night, the memory of his hands on me replayed until I couldn't stand it. Each morning, the weight of what hadn't yet happened pressed down heavier. One evening I found him in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, washing dishes. It should have been ordinary, but the sight of him, strong and quiet, made my breath falter. He looked over, catching the way I lingered, and he smirked faintly. "Still tense?" he asked. My silence was enough of an answer. He dried his hands, stepped closer, and suddenly the counter was at my back and he was in front of me, too close, too deliberate. His hands found me again, and the secret deepened. Every encounter after that was its own storm. Sometimes his touch was from the front, bold, claiming, his eyes daring me to push him away. Sometimes from behind, where the suspense was thickest, his breath hot against my neck, my pulse betraying me. And sometimes from above, when he leaned close, his gaze locking mine, every inch of him trembling with restraint he could barely hold. But he always pulled back before the line was fully crossed. Every time left me burning, restless, desperate. The suspense became its own kind of torture, a dance that left me sleepless. Until one night, the storm outside returned, louder than before, rattling the windows as though the world itself wanted our secret to break open. I found him standing in the living room, staring out at the rain. When he turned and saw me, the air between us snapped. There was no hesitation this time, no restraint. He closed the space between us in a few strides, his hands finding me with the same hunger I had dreamed of night after night. From the front, he held me as though he would never let go. From behind, he pressed close, his breath unsteady, his strength trembling against me. From above, when he leaned over me, his eyes caught mine and everything I had tried to bury exploded into fire. That night, the secret became a storm we couldn't contain. We crossed every unspoken line, surrendering to what had been building since the first touch. And even as the thunder rolled outside, the louder storm was the one inside us. I tell this now not to confess, but to relive it. Because some secrets are too powerful to fade, and some stories are too dangerous to forget. What began with a back massage became the fire that changed me, that rewrote every rule I thought I lived by. And Dom Knox was the man who lit it.